Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Good Living Podcast. It's Independence Day, and I had to do something. I had to say something. And short notice, I called my guy, Dr. Justin.
Hey, my bro.
Welcome. Thank you for coming on the show with me.
Yeah, thank you, man.
So, obviously, our country has reached another milestone,
True.
and it's 1 year. And so, I was going through, and I was thinking while I was preparing for this show, the achievements. I want to outline the achievements of this country over the past.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say 62 years because I'd like to talk about the time with which I've seen.
Yes.
So that would be like maybe late 90s till now. Then maybe mid to late 90s till now.
Yeah.
So you do want to tell everybody how old you Well,
I think that doesn't really matter
Yeah.
for now. But
so that would be, and I think it's the same. I think it's the same period of time we both have seen. Maybe you've seen a bit more, but the same period of time we both have seen. I outlined some achievements, and we are going to go through them one by one. Actually had to do this because I felt like it is time. It's our birthday as Nigerians, and so Nigeria's achievement. Let's just get straight to it, so this doesn't go too long.
Yeah.
One by one. The first one on my list here is the collapse of the naira. Yeah, no, I mean, what do you call an achievement? I know this is might be shocking to some people and might not be to some people, but you don't expect me to start talking about anything because it's really difficult. I had to rack my. I thought about the first, when I thought about achievement, I thought about the first thing, the positive thing.
when you talk about achievements,
Yeah.
it can come in both perspectives, the negative and positive.
Yeah,
It's just like saying something about economic importance when it comes to science.
exactly.
Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be positive stuff, but the effect and the impact.
Mhm.
So in this case, in this context, I'm talking about Nigeria as a country. So what the leader has been able to do over the course of the years.
Exactly.
So they were able to actually
Achieve these things.
achieve this
Yeah,
feat.
this is why you're here because I knew you'd like elaborate on this in case people don't understand why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But I think an achievement is the end product of certain decisions you make.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when you get a certain decision, that is a collection of all your decisions you've made. That's the result.
And in this case, these are very conscious and deliberate decisions
Exactly.
from our leaders.
Exactly.
Over time.
Yeah. So in 1998, the naira was 22 naira, and now it's basically 700. So we have to give them. They just finesse that down all the way down.
Yes.
Give them. Well, how many years is that? 24, 25 years, and consistently it's been going down. There's never been a point where the naira went to like 15 naira and then went back to 20 naira. Then
No.
So they've been consistent in that. We have to give them that.
Yeah.
One other thing, yeah, Boko Haram has killed. When I searched this, I was expecting a higher number to be honest, and I think me and you know that the number is higher. It's
True.
just that
True.
it's 35K. They said Boko Haram has killed 35,000 Nigerians, and I don't believe it's only 35,000.
For me, when I see these figures, the first thing that actually just occurs to me, it's how we genuinely refuse to be sincere people, and I think
Exactly.
that's one of our basic challenge and basic problems as a people and as a nation, because check our statistics, like what's our own basis for collecting data. Like if you go to other developed countries, right from birth,
Yeah.
they have your accurate data, they know your date of birth, everything, house number and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not like that with us. We always deal with estimates.
Yeah.
So you just sit and like take this number out to the press so to make us look good.
Good, exactly.
So it's just being politically correct.
Yeah.
Like
That's what they
people
do.
are dying. So if we say no, the numbers are not high.
Yeah.
Let's trace
The
back
panic
to the
will
case of
reduce.
COVID.
Yeah.
When COVID-19 was on, they were under testing people, but the NCDC kept on putting out numbers. So the point, we felt like no, COVID didn't ravage Nigeria.
Yeah. And so just to put in perspective, this is not a 62-year period. This is say 24 years period, yes, and this is how much damage, because I told you everything here is within the late 90s until now.
Yes.
These are the achievements. So yeah, so this next one is actually funny. Where Snake swallowed $100,000 at that time was 36 million.
Yeah.
From Jamb office. I think that was here in Makurdi, Abi.
Mm.
So in a sane government where people are like mentally stable in government, an excuse for losing $100,000 would be that a snake swallowed it and everybody gobbled it up.
That's not even the part. I think the most interesting part is she actually walked free.
Yeah, I heard she was
because
like given a suspension or something like that.
Is it supposed to stop at
suspension
that?
for 100,000 that you did
They're
not pay
supposed to
back.
be tried and jailed properly as it should in a
Exactly.
functional country.
Yeah.
So you can't just wake up and then maybe they arrest you. You don't. You just ran out of lies and then you felt like, well, let me just feed them this.
I mean, really, if you were, even if they woke you up from sleep, you stole that money, $100,000. They woke you up from sleep. Is that even going to be the first reply
There's
you give? The
something one
first
of my
excuse you
lecturer
give?
always used to tell us. Like he said back during his undergraduate days, if he actually sees a question that he knows clearly he can't approach this question, he doesn't know the answers.
Yeah.
For him, it's better to fail honorably, like not just write anything than to just
Yes.
write nonsense there, and the lecturer will be like, "Whoa, so this is what you think this question is about?" So
Yeah.
I felt it would have been better for her to just maybe act something like she did pass out, she faint or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
than to say
Like
a
this our
snake.
guy that when they were
Like
probing
you
him, he
know,
just fainted.
there's been no place, even in fairy tales, that I've heard that a snake has swallowed money. I
I
actually
mean,
had to hear it from my dear country,
and
Nigeria,
it was
for the
shocking
first time.
because it always seemed like it's the common man that saw it as a big falloose.
Yeah, because to
Every
them it's just like, man,
Yeah,
it's
and
a
everything
normal.
about Happy Birthday Nigeria.
We still
Yeah,
love you
there's another one
regardless.
shortly after that one. I saw this one when I was doing my research, but I remember it happened because a senator said Monkey stole 70 million from his farmland or something like that. I heard this one just a few weeks after this first one came out, but I still couldn't get the senator's name. I looked, but I didn't actually look hard enough, so I didn't get the senator's name. But
I think it's this current APC chairman.
the next
Serious?
one, yeah, okay, this one is not really important, but I had to just put it in there because I noticed it. So you are a sports fan, yeah? You watch football,
Yeah, I do.
and invariably, if you watch Chelsea and you watch the Premier League, you will be interested when international tournaments are going on. But I noticed that even with time, since when we were younger till now, in sport we've actually deteriorated. Some may refuse and say, okay, but we did win the Nations Cup and we've been to the World Cup once in 2018, right?
Yeah.
Did we go in 2014? I don't think we went in 2014.
I'm not so good with the sport
Okay, yeah, but we didn't go in 2014. We went 2018. Now we've not won any tournament since the 2013 African Nations Cup as a country, and before then, the one that me I can remember would be under 17 World Cup in 2007.
So
or
I
8.
feel that's where the motivation is out. So it still has something to do with the poor managing of the country,
Yeah,
because it's going to affect every facet of this country.
there was an interview I saw, with Fred Zaha,
Yeah.
the footballer. So he was talking about how it was to play for. I think he played for England under 21, so like the lower team, the younger team in England, and then chose to play for Ivory Coast when he came to the senior level. And he said the difference in the quality of or the care the government shows for the national tournament. For example, in Ivory Coast, they had to, if they go to for friendlies or even at camp, they share rooms. With England, everybody has their own separate room. You get, and he likes his privacy.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how Nicolas Pepe used to snore and stuff like that. So I think that's Ivory Coast, and they're better than Nigeria. I think their government is better than Nigeria. At least we maybe have larger space or whatever. But you can imagine that Nigeria does that similar level or a lot worse, and they don't even pay players. You know that they've had issues where they've owed Nigerian players, their money. This is football, which is the biggest sport in this country. And there's other sports. There are people who like from this country represent our country in other athletic sports, in races, in tennis and stuff like that. I don't even think they're even recognized by the government.
That's what I'm saying. That something happened, I think, late December 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I actually stumbled across a news about what the government did for certain footballers, the national team.
Yeah.
The federal housing estate they did for them, or
Okay.
just appalling. Like you need to see those structures, something that looked like was something built in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and
And they
I'm
were
talking
new,
about
not a renovated estate or
2021.
something
It
like
was a
that.
new stuff that the government had done to actually honor them. You
Like the
can
government bought the land and erected those
and
buildings
yes,
new,
they built those
and they
buildings.
were still looking tattered.
If you look at it, man, it's
And these are people that have played at the national
I
level.
don't think any of those players will live
Would-
in that house. There's none that will want to live in that house. Because the point now is where it baffles me most is it's just like if you don't know this thing is good or these how things are supposed to be done, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
But in this case, they know the standard, they know the global
Yes,
standard,
because they've been to places.
and for themselves they do very great stuff, but they feel like no, if it's on the stage that you're going to benefit from the Nigerian platform,
Yeah.
no, let's do something that's substandard.
That's
We are
what they
known
do.
for that.
Yeah.
So that's what gives them joy.
So the next one here is their record-breaking 6 months and 4 months, or was it another 6 month strike in 2012? I think that was the first time ASU became a household name.
Yeah.
Because I remember my elder sister was in uni then, and she was at home for a very, very long time. I think I was in secondary school, I was in boarding school, and I went to school. I was on holiday, went to school, did my entire term, I came back and stayed with her at home. So I remember the strike was long, and there was another one just like shortly after that took the total of that period. They say 1 year strike. They used to call it 1 year strike then.
Yeah.
People were out of school. And it was a big deal at that
I
point.
think there's one staring right in our face right now.
Yeah,
So
we're
I
getting
think
to that.
we will need to give them the trophy for breaking their own record.
Yeah, this one I'm pleasing here because
You
it was record. That was the first one. It was record breaking then.
Yes.
Although
so,
I've not searched enough to see if there was more. If there was one that was, like longer
So
than a year
this
before then.
current government has actually broken the record of their predecessors.
Yeah.
So I think let's give them that.
Yeah, they're working hard at that, to be honest.
They're working really hard. So by
You can see the hard work in the effort they are making to
Yes.
resolve this. The level of effort they are making to resolve this one, you see how
very
much they are
deliberate.
committed. Yeah. Another
Yes.
thing this government has struggled not struggled, like seamlessly done, is the elimination of the middle class. I'm going to say this here because personal experience, I think a lot of people are going to have things to say about this, because growing up, a lot of Nigerians were not rich, wealthy,
Yeah.
or paupers. We classed ourselves as the middle class because we could afford what we needed and some of the things we wanted. So it was evident then that we were middle class people. But over time, for me, when I grew older, like I would say when I started becoming a man, so maybe when I became 18, 17,
Yeah.
it now dipped, you get. And I would say it was when Buhari entered, but shortly before then, still. It just, in my own household, from my own personal experience, it dipped. I began to see, I don't know whether it maybe because it happened as at the time when I started opening my eyes as a man to see things.
My dad will always tell me, like,
Yeah.
obviously, man, he's going to leave this world way worse than he met it.
Met it.
And it's not really because of him, but the way things are going. They enjoyed a lot of things that sometimes he looks at us and it feels like, hi, we've been robbed. Like, he wish
Exactly.
we could actually experience
how it was then.
how it was during his youthful days and all.
What we are doing now.
So, but now, once you are born into Nigerian society, the instincts is just survival instincts.
So exactly.
It's just,
so now there is no middle class anymore. Now people struggle for what they need.
It's just straight like that. The wealthy class.
Yeah, and then there's the poor people. All of us are the poor people.
Yeah.
And then there's the really wealthy people.
It's either you're in the A class or you're poor.
See, let me make this thing. I want to use some metrics now to hammer on how bad it is now. When somebody is poor, they struggle to get what they need, Abi.
Yeah.
And the middle class then we're not poor. Because I told you, like I said, they got everything they needed.
They had the basics,
housing,
but now, food, welfare,
yeah,
schools. You can school wherever you want, travel.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not even go there. Like now,
you can't even doesn't have enough.
And there are some that don't even have the food to eat.
No, that's true. Now they sell yams in pieces. Before it was tubers. When I first heard it, I was shocked. Like, you now go to the market to buy yam in pieces, raw.
It's that bad.
All right. The next one is the recession. Now, I don't think ever in history before that, was it 2015, 2014 period, we had ever experienced anything like that as a country at that time. And people try to say that statistically we are out of recession.
Yeah.
But I think we are worse off now than we were then.
The economists to argue that, to say we're getting out of recession.
Yeah, there's statistics, according to them, to say that okay, whatever they're calculating, now we have exited recession. But if you look at it, because me, I like to look at life as what you're seeing day to day.
Yeah.
Right. The common man, what is he experiencing? Is he experiencing a life where he's out of recession, or a life where he's still deeper into recession? And I think the latter is the answer.
Yeah.
And so we are still in recession, according to me on this podcast. We're still in recession, and that has happened after we got our independence, while we have allowed ourselves to run ourselves as a country.
I just think one of our basic problems is that we've consistently produced leaders without vision and foresight. So it's just like you're experiencing a boom in a particular thing that actually generates revenue for you. And then you're like, whoa, this is just great. Let me enjoy. Let me live in the moment. Not thinking about making future plans that if this thing stops coming in this way, how am I going to stay afloat?
Yeah.
So that's where we found ourselves. So our leaders then were just whining and dining with the oil boom, you know,
Yeah,
quadrupling prices and all of
exactly.
those things. So they felt like, man, it's going to be all rosy. And then when the decline started coming in, they never planned for it.
Yeah.
They never envisaged this thing was going to happen because they lacked
This
foresight.
afternoon, I saw something that happened, and should I say it's off the grid, but I'll just share because it's in this context.
Mm.
Some BIRS guys, those are the tax guys here in
Yeah.
Nigeria, and the federal is FIRS,
Yeah.
Federal Inland Revenue Services, and
Mm.
all of those. So they came to receive tax from one business guy that has a cold room that sells ice fish.
Okay.
Yeah. So they received well over 100K from the guy as
Really?
task. Yes. And they said, the director, in his words, said he's not going to issue the guy a receipt now. By early January next year, that's 2023, he'll come and give the guy the receipt. And
Well-
then, right in the guy's presence,
Mm.
he was not sharing the money amongst his colleagues, like, you take this one, you take this one. So I just sighed and I was
Transfer.
like, it was
Just
sad.
tell them straight, you don't have cash. You are going to make a transfer to them. Okay, so use your ATM card without the POS. Please,
Mhm.
I don't have a credit card.
Yeah.
So I will just make a transfer to you. It's going to be smooth. Don't
Mhm.
worry.
Yeah.
So when you do the transfer, the description should be
Your receipt
tax.
is there. Yeah.
That's where you generate your receipt. So when you want to make a case, because another people can lead a new delegation and come to your shop tomorrow and still have this ID card because they're authentic staffs
Yeah.
with the ministry. So when they come and you're like, I paid, who did
Yeah,
you
you don't
pay
have
to?
any
What's your
evidence.
evidence? So this is how they have actually manipulated us to feel. So a lot of us need to be enlightened.
Definitely. But police brutality against successful young men has become a thing that wasn't really there earlier in our existence as a country. And now, over the last 4 or 5 years, it's been heavy.
Yeah.
It's literally
Really intense.
Before the enters movement, it was literally a case of if you look good as a young person, you're a target. Like it was literally It's not. This is not a metaphor. It was
Yeah.
literally the case where if you look good as a young person,
You're a
you
threat,
are-
you know,
yeah, you're a threat to the
and you're a
police, and then they
suspect.
would, yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So that's something abysmal that has happened while all these other things are happening. Remember, a lot of these things that we talked about here are concurrent. There's still Boko Haram, there's still recession, there's still all these other issues we're talking about here. Our sports team are still doing terribly. So, these are the issues we are living through. And let me know in the comments if there's anyone that I'm skipping or that I've not mentioned here, because I know there's still a lot of them. But have you personally experienced anything like that before?
Yeah, I think sometimes last year in Abuja,
Okay.
yeah, we were just going out to drop some friends off. They were supposed to travel.
I was with you in that car.
Ahead.
Look at
So,
that.
You see, you see, so
Would you look at that?
the whole experience was just predetermined, and it's just like
Yeah.
that's their mentality, that's their orientation about young people.
Yeah.
So in Nigeria right now, if you're a successful young man, then you're a suspect.
Exactly.
There's something you're doing that's illegal, to actually make you make ends meet.
So,
So
let me tell that story
Yeah.
for people who are curious about it. So we were in Abuja, and then we have a friend who bases there naturally, and then he has a Benz, a very classic one. Classic means old. Okay, but a very beautiful one, yeah. And a few of our friends were traveling back down to Makodi, and some of us were not. So there were like 5 of us in the car, 2 people that were traveling, one person was driving, about
Yeah.
2 other people behind the 2 that were traveling.
Yeah.
And we were on the way. And then SARS overtook us and motioned us to stop. We stopped. My friend who was driving the car came out of the car. The person in the driver's seat came out, and passenger seat came out of the car as well. There was now 3 of us at the back. And then they were talking. I was like, what's going on? Where are people going? They were asking questions. And then I think somebody noticed that they were, because the glasses were tinted, somebody noticed that there were other people in the car. And then they motioned all of us to come out. So there were 3 boys at the back, 2 in the front.
Yeah.
And when they started trying to call their superiors, I think they started calling their superiors.
Yeah.
And one of them kept mentioning to their 5 boys.
There are 5 able-bodied men. This was
5 able-bodied men. Yeah. Like
5 able-bodied men
you know,
in the car.
And anybody who knows me knows that I have a short temper. So I was quick to anger, but obviously I would not react because I would not want to die in 2021. So that's how scary it can be, because I was annoyed, but I was still scared because now they could do anything there. It was a good
It was a traumatic experience, so
It was really
it would have
fucked up.
escalated to anything else.
To be honest.
We just managed it the best way
possible we could,
And yeah, how did it end? Money. Yeah,
Yeah.
they took bribe and they let us go. So
For a crime we didn't
we
commit,
didn't commit.
just felt
We were
like
just we
because
were
we were
just
young,
boys, men in a car.
so we are young, so we should pay money.
So yeah, the next thing is the Twitter ban. I think that was a huge war against freedom of speech. It was embarrassing as a Nigerian to have the world see that that was happening. And to be honest, I think they did that. They did that after the NSAS movement, Abi, or was
It
it
was
before?
after.
It was after. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was after. And because this government,
So it was just more like accumulated grievances. It felt
yes,
like the
that the
role.
movement
Yeah,
was,
they used the platform
yeah,
very well, during the NSAS movement, and it was very pivotal to their affairs. They felt like, no, okay, now we have a chance. So we're stripping you of all
and
your powers. You're not going to function in our
yeah,
country
and
again.
they didn't know.
So,
So we
so
had
that
to like
they'll
move to
disconnect us
UK
from
and
the world,
US by
like
VPN.
using VPNs and all.
Some people actually did stop using Twitter that period.
Yeah,
Some people stopped,
yeah.
but I didn't, and I didn't even notice any change. I really didn't see any difference in Twitter between pre-ban or post-ban or inside the ban, because I mean everybody, and that's what you do when you are wicked and you create an environment that is really really difficult for people.
For
They
even
become resilient,
yes, yes.
and then when you bring a new wahala, they chest it and just find a
They
way
already
out.
have a way to adapt.
Yeah, and it's positive and negative too, because
Yes.
now Nigerians cannot fight and push back and draw a line. We know we can adapt to whatever situations, and then we just go with the flow every time and find a new way.
Yeah.
But that was embarrassing. Let's just we'll run through these things as a list, right?
Yeah.
So we don't doesn't take too long. Kidnapping and ritual killings seem to be at an all-time high. Now I wrote this here, but I have my doubts about the accuracy of it, because I feel like the presence of social media actually does enlarge a lot of things. It brings a lot of things to light. Ice Cube was saying something in an interview I watched one time, and he was saying police brutality to black people has always been there. The way they pull you over, you might even die, you might die, you might not.
Yeah.
It's not now. It's not a now thing. All right, it's always been there. The white police officer will pull over a black man and most likely do something unprofessional to him, and it's not new. It's just that social media now has enlarged it. If they pull somebody over, he pulls out his phone and starts recording, and so probably this is the case with this particular one as well. Maybe
Yeah.
it's because we have social media that we now know all the kidnapping cases that are happening in all the nooks and crannies.
There's been increase in awareness. For me,
Yes.
I feel it's the increase in awareness
Yeah, but
that's
do you
making
think
us.
it's more now?
Yeah, I feel it's more
It's
now.
actually more now,
It's
regardless of
more.
the social media
It's
influence.
more now because life is getting tougher by the day. So people are trying to make ends meet by all means,
Yeah,
and
we are
some
making more
always.
criminals over.
That's what I'm
As
saying.
the time
So
goes by.
yeah. So people will always want to feed. People have to feed,
Yeah.
right? So there are some that take to the illegal side of life. Some still choose to stay legal, and below abiding. So once there's a country is not functioning, definitely crime rate is going to increase.
Yeah.
Crime rate is going to increase. It's natural. So that's why it's happening now. And let me this off this, but like, okay, look at stuff like about child abuse, child rape,
Yeah.
rape cases and all. Before now, most women that were victims to rape
Yeah.
were actually shy
Yeah, to come
to
forward.
come out and actually state their story, due to stigmatization and all of those things.
Yeah.
But now the awareness has been there, has been reorientation of these people, like, no, this is not the end of the road for you. We can handle your situation. Feel free, come out, speaker will help you. So people are always coming
Yeah.
out. So social media, yes, has helped to actually bring these things to light, but we will not say it hasn't increased. For me, I feel it has increased
Yeah.
because now you can't watch the news without seeing, recurrent headlines about kidnappings
Yeah,
and
and
all.
this is the exact reason why I
This
put
is
it on groundbreaking Nigeria.
Yeah.
The next thing here will be, obviously this is, I'm just going to say it and won't talk much about it. The rate of flight tickets, it just has to do with the economical problems that we are in. The recession, I still said, because even when we are in recession, flight tickets are not what they are now. They are 150, 1K for
Yeah.
100 for economy, Lagos Abuja. So it's messed up. And then the hiding of palliatives was something this country managed to do. I want you to know that it is the hungry people that this food belongs to. They did not give it as a gift to Nigeria to do as they please.
Yeah.
But because we are a nation that the outside world expects to be structured and well structured, just so that if you give these things to the government, they will distribute it adequately down to the people who actually need them the most. And they did not do that. They did it intentionally by hiding them. The people who you are voting for, campaigning for, and fighting for online are the ones who did this thing. They kept this food themselves. and in different places, in different parts of the country, they were boggled
There
and
was one politician that one woman that used it for souvenir. She branded those things and was sharing for her birthday. You know, so it will still interest us to know that maybe 2023. Yes, they just kickstarted campaigns on Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's the 28th of September, 2022. You will see these palliatives going. They will be in circulation, rebranded, because the ones we saw on social media then were the few that the elites that actually hit them were unfortunate that
Yeah.
those guys were able to
Yeah.
find. So they are just expect more. Pray.
So, have you seen any place where our country comes first in something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't really place my hands on that exactly
No,
right
like
now, but
statistics, for example. What is Nigeria first in any statistic you know?
obviously, there's just no. I feel yes, we are 62. There are still certain little good things about us, and right now my memory just fails me that I can't
Okay,
remember.
well, I have one here. We are the highest borrowers in Africa. We are number one in Africa when it comes to borrowing. And I can't remember. I didn't get the figure, but
Mm,
you would know that it's a lot higher than the second. Because it is abysmal when you look at the chart of our net borrowing
mm,
or our debt between say 2015 and now. The chart is pretty much angular. It's not it's a what they call it. It's a surge. It's really, I can't find the exact word I wanted to use,
yeah.
but that's how high it is between now and then. And so that's something else that we've managed to do as a country on our 62nd birthday. Yeah.
And
So
the
at this
sad thing is
point,
how these funds are being managed. When we assess these loans, how do we
mm,
manage them? What do we use them to
them
do?
for I
If
think
you are borrowing to invest, we hope that when the returns begin to come, you will
mm,
service the loans,
yeah,
right? But that's not what they do. They borrow these monies, they come and they loot.
that is the point. They use our
Yeah,
suffering
yeah.
as a point to get money
It's like the
for
collateral. So
yeah.
they take it like, man, this is why you need to give us
Yeah,
this
you need to
loan.
give us money.
They say,
People are
well,
suffering, and then you take it, and then you just share it among themselves.
amongst themselves, and it continues. So it's like a circle. It just keeps going around.
So, well, the last point I have here now is we are about to break the record now for longest strike because this one has been on since February, I guess.
Yeah,
February or
14th
March.
February.
Really?
Yeah, February 14th.
So
Yeah, I'm very accurate with the date because
it was significant for you.
yeah, so
So you see, and it does not look like we are going to end strike. I mean, they've ordered
anytime
them to
soon.
go to school, right?
Yeah.
But the students will not go to school. So what?
Then they took them to industrial court. The first time ever I'm seeing this one
Yeah.
happening with ASU. I watched one skit just last week that he was
Mm.
saying if the present government, that's then he was criticizing
Good
Goodluck
luck.
Jonathan,
Yeah.
the administration. So
Mm.
he was like doing his politics. He was saying if it was a serious government, they would have actually assessed money to service this thing, do all of these things, and all. I just laughed. So that's the beauty of social media.
Yeah. It doesn't
Whatever
forget.
you say is there. They will always bring it back. So right now, this is the first time Nigeria has actually hit the milestone of 7 months ASU strike. First in history, it has never happened before. 7 months and counting because we started in February.
Yeah.
This is first
We are basically October. Yeah.
2022. So if we are talking about our independence today, and we're still battling ASU strike for something that an agreement that was entered in 2009. Now it's interesting to know that this agreement has been renegotiated owing to the current inflation. So they're trying to say, okay, what used to be the value of this thing years back is not like this again. Okay, we were hoping this is what we were hoping, or this was the channel we were hoping to get this money and service the educational sector. But now things have changed. So the professors too said, okay, we are learned people. We understand the global changes. So now if you say this, we'll be considerate. So they had to renegotiate. Yet they still can't implement these things. So what is the problem? Now the government wants to use force. That's why I said this present day government has the trace of those military regime. Because everything they don't want to go democratically, they just feel like let's use force. Let's use force.
Exactly.
And force doesn't do the magic, it doesn't do the trick. I recall when they had a meeting with vice chancellors and pro chancellors that you're going to they appealed to them and told them to tell people like they should go back and open schools. So there was a set. Universities were never
Instruct.
closed.
Uh-huh.
They were never closed. Who closed universities? As we don't have the power to close universities,
Yeah.
because to the best of my knowledge, there is no time in Nigeria that universities have been closed.
Close.
Every time you go to universities, you
It's
see
open.
it's open. Security are on ground. I don't know
Yeah.
staff of the university. They
No.
are working.
So I feel like we have said, we call them achievements, and they are achievements, but the thing is, they are negative achievements, and we've touched on them. But there's some positive news now. So I feel like we have said, we call them achievements, and they are achievements, but the thing is, they are negative achievements, and we've touched on them. But there's some positive news I still want to talk about.
Yeah.
Whilst we round up. So there are 2 points. No, there are actually 3 points, but two major ones um, that I would say are positive now. Things that I think those who call Nigeria their own would celebrate, and our lawmakers now earn more. I know. There's too many sarcasm in this podcast, but our lawmakers now earn more. I checked it, and they earn 13 million monthly. They call it running cost. Ahmed Lawan said that himself.
Yeah.
13 million in running cost, and then a total of about 32 a month for senator. I mean, I've known about this figure, to be honest. I don't know if it's even the 32 million also was an estimate after they talked about this 13 million, but that's good news for them, right? And you could celebrate it. Your lawmakers are making so much money.
Yeah.
And then the second one, our neighboring countries are
I think
actually
a
doing
good place
better.
to know, like more than any other lawmaker in the world.
Yeah, they are
richest.
balling. They're not mechanics. They are definitely ballers.
Because there's no lawmaker in the US that will end this.
And then the second one is our neighboring countries are doing better than us. No, they're not doing better than us, but they're doing better now. Look at Niger, for example. They just got cars, state of the art 2022 Land Cruisers. Yeah, for their security. So their security is stronger now. I mean, that's a good
And
one
it's a
for
giveaway
Nigeria.
from us.
Right? It's not even a loan.
Yeah,
We have to support our neighbors.
The big brothers.
We are affecting them positively.
Yeah.
So that's good for this country at 62. Yeah. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, brother.
I really appreciate your presence here. And
It was
there's
a
one
pleasure
last
being
one
on the pod.
that as a positive, which to be honest, I would say is the only positive for you and me. And that positive is that elections are by the corner, so
True.
you should maximize it. Thank you very much for watching.
So we still have a chance, to actually make this revolution come now.
Yeah.
And this time around, not by just hovering on the streets, but through the ballot.
Yeah.
So
you should vote.
Make an informed decision, vote wisely.
Thank you very much for watching and listening. So we'll see you in the next episode. This episode is proudly brought to you by Urban Wash and Topside Game Night.